GBHBL Flashback. This time we're covering another horror game. We're covering Silent Hill. The original game, released on the PlayStation, published by Konami, developed by Team Silent, a specific team for this. That was a group of Konami anyway. The first installment in Silent Hill series was released in North America in 1999 and in Japan and Europe later that year. So a couple of years after the original Resident Evil, I guess they were inspired. But well, I know they were partially inspired by that town in America that has a coal mine burning underneath it and it's mostly abandoned.
Yep.
But yeah, so Silent Hill, it's a survival horror game. Similar in style to Resident Evil that. But that's about where the similarities end. Silent Hill was a different beast. It was more of a mental thing. So the basic overview is a man and his daughter are driving down a road. Someone steps out in front of them. They crash. He wakes up in this mist-covered town. His daughter's gone. He proceeds to follow her. And then shit gets weird. Really, really weird. Now, I'm going to kick off with a negative.
Go for it.
Because it ties into that, basically. Things get weird. And that's one of Silent Hill, the original game's biggest problems, is that story is fucking confusing. So by the end, you know, you're talking about prophecies and ghost girls and stuff like this, demonic creatures and things like that, with several different endings that show several different things. As a child, as much as I love the game, as a teenager growing up, I couldn't make heads or tails, particularly when I contrast it to Silent Hill 2, which, you know, plays out more like a movie where by the end you get your resolution and big reveal and stuff like that. Silent Hill was a confusing mess, particularly if you get the ending where you get her a baby and, you know, and then it's like finding her in the cutscene of finding her or picking her up by the gravestone. It's fucking, what the fuck is going on here? Very, very confusing story. It doesn't feel that way at first, but the further you get into it, the more you're like, what? And you're probably thinking, oh, you just didn't pay enough attention. I played this game fucking loads.
Yeah, pay attention, man.
It's still not that clear, you know? Because here's the weirdest thing about this. So for some reason, Konami just was like, don't want to know. Now, we got HD updates of 2 and 3, but they've completely pretended Silent... It's almost like Silent Hill 1 doesn't exist to them.
Maybe it's just because it's so old, like, to have re-released it would have just taken so much effort, whereas 2, they kind of put a not great coat of paint on it, but it's still held up in some regard, I guess.
Interesting, but considering it's one of the most powerful IPs they have, I mean, we all know, right, now let's just say this, we all know that Konami are, I don't want to say scumbags, but there's something wrong with that company.
Oh yeah, I mean, their business practices, I mean, I don't know who's running that place, but...
they seem not to give a fuck about, I'm going to put it bluntly, they seem not to give a flying fuck about games anymore. All it is about trying to make as much money as quickly as possible. When you can isolate arguably one of your greatest creators, responsible for one of your franchises to the point where he leaves, and then you go, we don't need him, and release Survive, and everybody goes, you guys are fucking jokers. You've got Silent Hill, you've got Mega Man, you've got Castlevania, and your response is just to go, nah, none of that. Here's a one of those light gun games, instead release an arcade and stuff like that, or here's a free-to-play game on modes and all that. It's just... It's insane. They could literally go, oh, what we're going to do with Silent Hill was we're just going to not make any changes to it. We're just going to do the code for the modern games. People would buy it.
I don't understand how a company can have so many like famous like properties and just use them in the poorest of ways. Like, it doesn't take a genius.
It's almost like they've got contempt.
Yeah, it's almost like they're bitter about something and they almost like, I don't know... Really weird,
yeah. We will get on to, we have got a future episode planned for Metal Gear Solid, but we'll get onto that right now though. What we liked, what we didn't like, and favourite moments, scenes and bits of music from Silent Hill. So ultimately the world, and it's going to tie into several things. The world that is created in the town of Silent Hill, incredibly imaginative idea. One that was covered up well, that hid the limitations, but also created such mystery with the mist system. Now, that I always thought Silent Hill was scarier than Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Like, scary.
Yeah, it's that sense of not knowing like what's in front of you kind of thing. That's what the mist creates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is scary.
And it did it really, really well. Houses, like, there's not many houses you can go in and all that. But that felt more real to me in the sense of people have boarded up their houses.
Yeah.
This is closed down. This is this and there's that. It all made sense. And if you watched our 10 things we love and hate about demons, my wife made an incredible discovery.
Yes. What?
You didn't watch the bloody video.
I may have, but my memory is a bit
So
sketchy.
the town has loads of references. There is a demons reference in Silent Hill. There is a place that has the exact same font and name of the cinema.
Really?
I've seen the screenshot. In fact, in the video, I think I put the screenshot up on the thing of the font of the name of the cinema. And it's exact to that cinema. So it can only have been that. Fucking, and there's lots of that in Silent Hill. Getting off topic anyway.
Well.
But yeah, weird, right?
Yeah, interesting trivia.
Yeah, so like the world it created, the mist, and even that's normal Silent Hill. When we went to Dark Silent Hill, how weird that place felt. From suddenly what was streets became grating, and whatever you thought you understood of where you could go went out the window. And then as well, when you'd go into big locations, be it the hospital, be it the school, those again felt like worlds in themselves, you know.
Yeah.
I think they created certainly a more, arguably more interesting area than say even the mansion from Resident Evil. To me, it felt more survival horror than Resident Evil. It felt tougher. It felt like weapons were there, but you weren't really supposed to use them until you came to a boss. A lot of it, particularly in the streets, you just spend a lot of it just running away from flying creatures and dogs and things like that, because your static thing would be going off. You wouldn't even know where it was coming from, you know? And as I said, it actually has scary moments. And I'll get onto some of those a little bit later on. Do you have anything to add about the like?
I just think the atmosphere of the game, like, it's just really creepy.
They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. I'd say it's probably the best Silent Hill for atmosphere. As much as I love Silent Hill 2, and I think it's the best one, atmosphere-wise, Silent Hill 1 definitely had it. I guess it was so new to us. But man, oh man, does it have negatives as well. So, like, fucking hell. So they went with a similar system of Resident Evil with the static cameras. But do you remember early on, and it happens a good time for the games, where they were like, let's do something different and have a camera swing. So you'd run down a corridor or down and the camera would swing, but the control system was the same. So you would automatically... And
oh yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
What the fuck, guys? Like, that looked cool, and it gave it an impression of like more living, but it's used so sparingly, it's almost pointless. Just stick with what you had.
Good point.
Yeah, and with that, bad controls. I probably sent fuck it. Is it James or was James number 2? Who am I thinking of?
It
is James, isn't it?
James, yeah.
I probably sent him running into walls because basically he run and he had this horrible thing when it came to stop him where he'd almost like that. Controls weren't great. It followed similar to the one to Resident Evil, but it felt clunkier. And because the world was more open and the camera was static, you'd be running down the street and it would be a tracking camera. It wasn't like fixed spot. So trying to keep him running in a straight line, you'd always end up running into a garden. You didn't know what you were going to walk into, and not know what was coming. I know that was designed to give more horror, but I don't really like the controls.
Yeah, I probably played the game when I was really young, and if my memory serves me right, I remember just navigating the town and the map system and all that just really confusing me. Yeah. The map system very, very difficult to follow because there was nothing clear as to what you could do
in regards to that. But another massive issue, and this always applied mainly to the alternative Silent Hill world. Fuck me, was that game dark? Did that game get really, really dark? And in the dark Silent Hill, particularly in the street, the map wasn't there. You had no map. Navigating, you had this stupid torch. Because of static cameras, often that torch was pointless because it'd just be facing towards the camera anyway.
It's like it was intentionally designed to be as confusing as possible to make you feel like lost and just
Then they nailed that. That they nailed that. Can't argue with that. It also had near impossible puzzles. So the puzzles of Silent Hill are a lot of people's bone of contention, and it's a big one for me. From the stupid ass key, the painting, you'd have like a puzzle. Like the one I remember is the piano one in the school, and you'd have to decipher what the painting was for what the keys were. And it was so fucking confusing. Oh man, the puzzles in that game were infuriating. Not easy to follow. Not like Resident Evil's one. They fucked up there. Yeah. Right. See a lot of negatives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite moments, scenes, bits of music. So, have you got anything specific? Because I got a couple right on the nose on this one.
I just remember like this. I don't even know what this is happening in the scene, but I think it's quite near the end. And one of the characters, I think it's the nurse character.
Oh.
She's in like I think she's in like a wheelchair or something.
You're talking about the transformation, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this. I didn't put this because I guess I didn't put it because it's probably one of the most famous, but I would describe it not really, really well. Okay. So this is Lisa, the nurse. And throughout the game, you would meet her in the hospital, and she's all right apparently. But as the game goes on, she says things and she does and she acts a certain way that makes you go, huh? And he is in the back of your mind, how have you survived this? And eventually, when you get to the dark side of the final area, you come to her and she's sitting in a chair with her back to you, and she basically she says something like, I know how I'm here. And then it cuts to this a movie, a cutscene, and she turns around, she starts to stagger towards you, and blood starts dripping down her face. And James leaves and closes the door, and she's banging up against it crying. Yeah. Fucking hell. Yeah. And the music that plays there is...
Yeah, I think that stuck with me because at a young age, that was quite scary.
It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Harry?
Lisa, what's the matter with you?
I get it now. Why I'm still alive even though everyone else is dead. I'm not the only one who's still walking around. I'm the same as them. I just hadn't noticed it before.
Lisa.
Stay by me, Harry. Please. I'm so scared. Help me. Save me from them. Please. Harry?
For a character you grow quite fond of, I think, as well. Yeah, it's one of the more disturbing scenes, yeah. And it's got incredible music. Glad you mentioned that, because I didn't have it. So, a couple of minor things that are kind of scary, basically. So, who all remembers the part in the school where you go in the fucking toilets and you hear a girl crying? That is some next level bullshit. There's nothing in that toilet, you can check, and you hear a girl crying. No,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's not nice. The entire school itself is brilliantly done, but who else freaked the fuck out when those squeaking ghost children came at you? And you can't hurt them, they can't hurt you, but they make this squeaky noise. The squeaky noise is weird, but the very first time, the fuck is that about? The hospital, it's... obviously they introduced it to nurses. So iconic were they that Silent Hill, the movie, even managed to do them right.
Yes.
They're a horrible bunch.
For sure.
And one of my personal favourite things, so the map system, you mentioned it already, but the map system would work on you've been here, that door's closed, it will scribble it out.
Scribble it out, yeah.
An X for when the road was destroyed, arrows and stuff like that. I love trying to fill that shit up. I love trying to perfect it.
Yeah, it makes so much sense now, but just when you're younger, like, it's like no idea what's going on.
Particularly when it was flaws, like in the school and the hospital. But it is an iconic game for the right reasons. I think it's slowly getting lost to time. I think because nothing's been done with the franchise, and obviously it's a franchise that I don't want to say got worse, because Silent Hill 2 is superior, 3 is good. But what followed them from Homecoming to Downpour, while they're good games in their own right, they don't do justice to what was a franchise that started so strongly. And because we've not had anything new in the world of Silent Hill, we've had movie attempts that have failed. You've got the first Silent Hill is a film of moments.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one is a downright disgrace. And for all your Game of Thrones reasons, one of the reasons why I still don't like Kit Harington. He's in the sequel, Silent Hill sequel.
Really?
And he sucks.
I honestly don't remember him being in that.
Oh, he's one of the fucking stars. He's alongside Heather. Yeah?
Really?
Kit Harington. Yeah.
Don't know, I've seen the movie one time. And
go back and watch it.
No, I don't want to watch it.
Sorry, Kit, but you suck in that movie. Good as Jon Snow, though. But there you go. You actually know that now.
I do know that.
Yeah. But yeah, so... And I just think it's going to be lost to time. I think if Konami refuse to do anything to it, it's kind of one of those where you wish, just sell some of the IP. There's someone out there that will buy that IP.
One of these days, I've just got to do something with it, surely. I mean, and like you said, as time goes on, the games are going to get older, and like we talk about in a previous video, Resident Evil, how that's aged badly, and obviously the first Silent Hill game has as well. And slowly, they're going to get worse and worse and worse, and how many people are going to be around to look back on them fondly if they. You need to be like how Capcom are doing it. You remake these games and remind people why they're so great. Yeah. Otherwise people are going to forget.
We're kind of going on here and go a bit of top, but we'll add this to it. How the fuck haven't Konami looked at the success of the Resident Evil 2 remake and gone, shit, we could make a fuckload of money off this.
That's the sad thing, is like, can they even afford to do it? Do they have the money to do that kind of thing?
Absolutely. But there you go. There's Silent Hill, a flashback of Silent Hill. Make sure you check out the previous episodes. Stay tuned for more. Drop us a comment. Tell us what you think, particularly if you agree or disagree, particularly in Konami. I'd love to have a real conversation about it. They're definitely a subject we'll have to cover further into the future. Like and subscribe.